Hello, and welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night. My name is Maybe Dennis, and last time, while we did some winter cleaning, Sojiro and his classmates went to like the old school building, I believe, to do some cleaning, collect some leaves, burn them. But at one point, Hosuke went off to like somewhere else. I think that might have been actually the old school building also, but a different part. And found like a blonde or like a foreigner boy who like stole his yams or something. It didn't really do much in terms of like the story so far, but I'm sure it'll come back because there's a foreigner, and foreigners are always sus in these in these medias, for lack of better words. I hate to say it that way, but that's how it is. And then later on, we went back home, and it seems like Alice and Aoko were having a conversation about their defenses against a different magician who's trying to like essentially attack them or like go capture like Misaki City or something. And they have to, make plans. And during that time, they walked into Sojiro half naked because he was changing in the middle of like the open. But they found a lot of scars on him and brought a lot of questions. But afterwards, it was daytime. Sojiro came back home, and so did Alice and Aoko. And Aoko got him a little gift, which was a collar. And it was supposed to be like a pretty a bad joke. Just trying to like nudge at him, get him annoyed. But he ended up accepting it graciously, which ended up annoying Aoko even more, which was hilarious. But now that that's done, we're going to continue with the next day. So, let's continue. The sun shining through the window was bright. It was just about 9 o'clock, about time for the morning television programs to get going. Sojiro was sitting on the sofa, staring out the window at the scene outside. The view from the neighboring sunroom showed a courtyard in a state of disrepair. Wait, why is the top moving? And the bottom. Oh, okay, never mind. I got a little bit confused. Sojiro could appreciate the outdoors in both its natural wild state and when tamed by human hands. Sojiro muttered to himself, turning another page in his textbook. On the table before him was a mathematics textbook and a notebook with Aoko's name on it. Although at first glance he appeared to be a diligent student studying on his day off, he was in truth only doing so as a compromise. He had given up on his main intent of watching the morning television shows. The reason why he gave up was simple. He was being considerate of Alice, who sat in front of him with her nose buried in a book. Instead of holding herself in her room, she brought out her old dusty books to read. This is what she meant when she had said to keep quiet. Sojiro found it difficult to turn on the TV. With that decided, Sojiro resigned himself to reviewing some of the practice problems he had gotten wrong in the drawing room for some reason. There wasn't any particular purpose in doing it there. He had no real reason to study back up in his room. And so there he was, leisurely highlighting his textbook with Alice there in the same room. To Sojiro, there was really no difference between his room in the attic and the drawing room with Alice. To be fair, he could probably live with a tiger as long as it didn't cause any trouble. That was both Sojiro's biggest strength and his biggest weakness. Before he knew it, the clock was showing 11. He'd spent 2 hours doing his math problems but wasn't even halfway finished. More than that, he was disappointed in himself for lacking the courage to speak up at all. He dropped his mechanical pencil onto the notebook and watched it roll away. He knew that Aoko and Alice were busy with something since final exams had ended. He also knew that she had hardly gotten any sleep recently. If she had been able to ignore him during the exams, she probably would have had an easier time. Today's nap was probably the first proper sleep Aoko had gotten in days. Though she showed no sign of exhaustion despite the fact that she must have hit peak long ago. She always seemed rearing to go. It wasn't that she was trying to act tough. That was just the kind of person she was, always positive, always tough as nails. And that was exactly why she came off as completely irrational at times. But if that was the case, you could probably describe Alice in the exact same way. Sojiro couldn't help but feel a bit inadequate when he saw their single-minded focus on their goals. He had been so preoccupied with adjusting to his new life that he neglected to think about what he was going to do with himself afterwards. Thinking about this cast a gloomy cloud over his heart. He felt like he'd never find a clear purpose in life like Aoko and Alice seemed to have. At least, not since he'd left the mountains. His old life was gone now, never to return. He was like a kite cut from its strings, destined to fly away only where the wind took it. And without anything to ground him, he couldn't do anything about the empty future that laid ahead. He could only let himself fly where the currents took him, slowly losing sight of the ground below. No worldly desires. Enlightenment achieved. The town was full of options, but he could find nothing. He'd asked himself the same questions time and time again. It never made him feel any better. If anything, it only made him feel worse and worse. That, or maybe he felt that lamenting his own ineptitude would lead to finding some kind of goal or desire someday. Tired of his own sniveling, Sojiro dejectedly closed his notebook. When he looked up, he saw his own face reflected back at him in the TV screen. His new collar was there and around his neck, looking out of place as ever. Oh, he's wearing it like a badge of honor now. It was a gift. Huh. Perhaps a fool like him who felt weak when faced with others' strengths did need to wear a collar after all. You still got time. He shook off his thoughts of doom and gloom and sat up straight. After psyching himself up a little, he stood up from the sofa. Sojiro asked casually. While Sojiro had been doing his own thing, he had remained mindful of Alice. Alice looked up, surprised at hearing her name. She had completely forgotten that Sojiro was even there. She's what? Without waiting for her reply, Sojiro headed off to the kitchen while putting on his apron. Wait, what's the point? Okay, what's the point? She didn't say yes. Alice tried to wave at him to stop, but by then he had already disappeared into the kitchen. She was hesitant to walk all the way in there just to tell him that she didn't need anything. And besides, she was actually hungry. Sojiro's proposal made sense, and her empty stomach agreed. Alice was hungry, and Sojiro was going to make lunch. Making lunch for both of them would save the time and trouble of cooking two separate meals. There was no logical reason for Alice to refuse his gesture. She decided to stay quiet and tacitly accept his offer. So strange. She whispered words softly, not for anyone in particular to hear, but herself. The truth was, however, Alice had been in a bad mood all morning. After checking all the sigils around Misaki City and boarding the first train back from Tokawa, all she wanted to do was spend the rest of her day reading until the words turned into a jumble. Her iron resolve to complete this task would not be interrupted by someone milling about in the drawing room. This was her mansion, and there was no way she was going to lock herself up in her room on the account of Sojiro. However, with that said, she knew it'd be wrong to kick Sojiro out for no reason. As it stood, Sojiro had actually kept quiet like she asked. He wasn't in the wrong here, and if Alice really wanted to be alone, she could have gone to her room. It's like, why are you still here? Alice had defiantly stayed in the drawing room despite realizing the dilemma she put herself in. She had figured that Sojiro would eventually make a ruckus and run off to hide in his attic room. Her assumption could not have been more wrong. Sojiro never left the drawing room. Moreover, she had actually stopped caring that he was there. Though he hadn't paid her any attention, he hadn't ignored her either. They had simply sat in silence together without any awkwardness. Alice felt the freedom of being alone, along with the comfort of someone being by her side. That's the compromise that they ended up making. To put it into words, Sojiro was just that kind of person. That was probably the only reason Alice had been able to sleep so soundly with him there next to her. Ah yes, just there. Sojiro continued cooking in the kitchen, oblivious to the thoughts that went through Alice's head. She couldn't see him from the drawing room, but she could easily imagine him cooking in the kitchen. He really is strange. Alice resumed reading after unwillingly stating her feelings out loud a second time. The sunlight beaming into the drawing room showed that it was noon. The sunlight had actually looked warm, despite it being a cloudy winter day. Just as noon struck, Sojiro returned to the drawing room with 2 sets of plates. Some food of indescribable color was piled on the large cream-colored plates. What did you make? Do you even... I see like an onion that hasn't been cut. What is that? She hadn't expected much. And since she hadn't requested anything, she could just refuse it if it was something that she didn't want. But this food left her at a loss for words despite psyching herself up. What is this? She's trying to cover the smell and the sight of it away from her. Everything turned purple. I thought you worked at a restaurant. You're supposed to be good at making food. Alice spoke as though she was terrified of what had been placed before her. If Aoko had been there, she probably would have punched him. It wouldn't be the first time. It just looks like a bunch of veggies on top of some sauce with noodles, I guess. But did he even cut some of the things? I thought you were better than this. But Sojiro just confidently placed the 2 large plates on the table. Steam bellowed from the mountain of food like an angry volcano, ready to erupt at any moment. Man, Sojiro was complaining about their diet, and now I'm just like, man, maybe they were right. The thick mystery sauce flowed over the plates as magma might from said eruption. And below it all were a seemingly infinite number of slimy tentacle-like noodles. There was really nothing more to say about it. This was clearly food of a poor, struggling student who favored quantity over quality. All that was required was a basic recipe, the will to cook something, and what few ingredients were needed. The pile of stir-fried noodles with sauce slathered on top was so horrifically bad, it was almost an art form. That was a bachelor's cooking, if she'd ever seen it. There was really nothing else you could call it. She had wondered at what he was doing for an hour in there, and it turned out he had been making this sauce. No sauce would have been fine, but Sojiro had wholeheartedly gone the extra mile. Sojiro bowed his head slightly and picked up his chopsticks. He had brought a fork for Alice. Oh god, she's shaking it like, no. She picked up the fork and stuck it into the noodle, half drowning in sauce. Sojiro began eating, not seeming to care that Alice sat there looking like she was about to eat poison. How would you like that? That's right, it's your turn to eat poison! Seeming to view this as a challenge, Alice furrowed her brow and slowly brought the mass of noodles to her mouth. Is it gonna be good? It was a little salty and ugly to look at, but it didn't taste bad at all. If anything, it was actually pretty good. Okay, back to the story. That was a really random tidbit. They always have some like cooking bit here in these visual novels, I think, just to like throw a gag in there. That was pretty funny. I liked it. Sojiro put down his chopsticks and turned to speak to Alice. Alice looked up quietly at the sudden question. She had been expecting Sojiro's meal, but now she looked straight at him. Alice didn't respond. Sojiro resumed eating, seeming disappointed. Alice stared blankly at him, slurping his noodles. After much hesitation, she replied. Alice's response was slow and measured. Sojiro still looked troubled. but not the conversation they were having. Rather, he looked apologetic towards Alice. He said that she didn't have to answer if she didn't want to, but Alice kept talking despite the face he was making.
しずきくんが見た公園での出来事が青子にとって初めての殺人行為よ。あいにく相手は人形だったけど。
Sojiro silently nodded. Alice narrowed her eyes at him suspiciously.
まるで初めから分かっていたそぶりね。
そうじゃない。いや、そうなのかな。たまにその手のセリフを言うけど、何か違う気がしたんだ。だから多分、青崎はまだ人殺しというのを体験していないんじゃないかって。でもまあ、そんなことよりもっと確かなのは、
しずきくんが今生きているということね。
Sojiro chuckled at Alice's stellar response. Exactly. Things would have been more clear-cut that night if Aoko had actually killed someone. Sojiro would have been dead before he even saw her face. For better or for worse, Aoko remained inexperienced in spite of her ruthlessness and decisiveness. Sojiro relaxed his shoulders. His stern face gradually returned to its normal carefree state. Then...
でも、そんなことは関係ないわ。あの子はそのあたりが異常だから。行為は理性に、経験は知識でたやすく補ってしまう。そうね。青子はその気になれば、迷うことなく人の命に手を出せる。しずきくん風に言うのなら、だけど。
And with that, Alice went back to twirling noodles around her fork. She looked like she was having fun. Sojiro thought that as he ruminated over what she had just said. It's like, oh my god, what is this mysterious being? It looks so bad, but it tastes pretty good. She was rational enough to accept herself despite acting against society's morals, and possessed an intellect that exceeded even the confidence gained through experience. Had Aoko been raised to utilize her logic and reason to forge reality from fiction? If that was the case, then perhaps they were really different from Sojiro.
すまない。こんなことを聞いたのは青崎には内緒にしておいてくれないか。
Sojiro seemed serious, as if he really regretted asking. Alice's expressions remained unchanged, but she had never intended on saying anything to Aoko anyways.
ありがとう。なんだかアリスには内緒話ばかり溜まっていくね。
Sojiro went back to eating his food. Though Alice had still only had a single bite, he was already scraping his clean.
そういえば青崎にも聞いたんだけど、アリスと青崎はいつもああなのか？
Sojiro had suddenly decided to change the topic of conversation. His new topic was the rather cold and dry relationship between Aoko and Alice. Aoko had said their relationship was normal, but maybe Alice had a different opinion.
会話が少ないことを言っているのなら、そうなるわ。けど、別に不便じゃないから。
Alice was still twirling noodles with her fork as she gave her concise answer. Around and around the noodles went, but none made it into her mouth.
不便じゃないって、そういうの仲がいいって言わないんじゃないのか。
Define friends.
私と青子の仲が良くないと、しずきくんは困るの？
Sojiro swallowed his words at Alice's perplexed reply. It would, actually, but he wasn't sure how to respond when asked so directly.
いや、なんかこっちの考え方が悪かったみたいだ。もうその話題には触れないことにしたから忘れてくれ。それより、アリス。
Sojiro gave Alice a piercing stare that was more intense than any time they'd talked before. Alice was taken slightly aback at the unusual intense look in his eyes. Her face became slightly flushed out of nervousness. Nobody besides Aoko had ever stared at her like this before. Whether or not he noticed, Sojiro waited a few moments before speaking, slowly and with a complete conviction. She's like, oh!
それ、食べないなら欲しいんだけど。
I have a lot of work to do. I need the energy. Maybe I'll eat that portion too. That was the intense look that you gave her. And all the tension went out the window. An awkward silence followed.
悪いけど、これ、私のだから。
This is mine. Shizuki had cooked it, sure, but Alice wasn't wrong. He had made it for her after all. There was a slight tinge of anger in her voice, but even she wasn't sure why it was there.
そうだね。少し意地汚かった。
That's the third time you said, I shouldn't have asked. Sojiro plopped himself down on the sofa. This must have looked particularly pathetic to Alice since she responded with,
その、材料はもう残ってないの。
She quickly covered her mouth. Apparently she had surprised even herself. It was quite unusual for her to ask something like that.
残ってないよ。青崎の分も作っちゃったから。
I don't care about her. Eat her portion! Sojiro stared a bit regretfully at Alice's plate as he responded. Alice could have just let it go, but for some reason she felt the need to speak up again.
青子なら眠っているけど。
いや、もうすぐ起こすから。起きた後で作らされるより一緒に作っておいた方が楽だしね。と、もうすぐ1時か。ちょうどいい。行って起こしてくるよ。
青子は起こしたら殺すって言ってたけど。
Alice wasn't sure why Sojiro was willing to take such a risk. Sojiro agreed, but started walking anyways.
でもさ、今起こしておかないと、やっぱり後で殺される運命にあると思うんだ。
She's gonna kill me either way, so at least I'll appease her with the food I made. His words were surprisingly affectionate. Leaving Alice with only that, Sojiro headed to Aoko's room. Alice watched him leave in silence before taking another bite of the stir-fried noodles. Glancing at the door to the hallway to make sure nobody was coming, she took another bite. You can see, like, the image of her just, like, looked over, looked back. It's like, okay, I can eat now. He won't see me eat the food. She repeated that process many times before finishing her food. It was then that she heard Aoko's wrath coming on the second floor. Alice stood up and began solemnly clearing the table, feeling a bit sorry for what Sojiro was dealing with. She knew she didn't really have to, but she felt like it was the least that she could do. She never really expected to feel this way. But he cooked for her, and it was surprisingly good, almost enough to make her forget how bad he was at making tea. Aw, he's growing on her. She's liking his presents now. Aw, damn it. Oh, that was really short. I stopped at a bad place last time. Oh, do you have any new archives? Oh, we do. We have 2 new things. I noticed something appeared on the bottom, but I didn't actually read it. The next one is Scarred Scar Red. But let's do some archive stuff. So judging from this, we are over halfway through the game. Cool. And that was a calm morning. The stuff with the studying and the food. Next part is Whiteboard. Oh, we can see, I forgot her name. Kumari? I think her name was Kumari. Yeah, we can see Kumari in the picture. But let's go! An unwritten schedule leaves both the process and results unsettled. Toki Julich. Don't know who that is. Yeah, Kumari. Wait, isn't this the student council room? Why is she here? Only Aoko was present in the second student council room when Kojika Kumari entered. She doesn't seem like she's in trouble. Aoko was seated at a long table surrounded by a pile of textbooks and using her pen to write rapidly. Strewn about the table were not school-specific notebooks, but rather papers for writing reports.
何してんの青崎？課題？それとも補習？どっちにしても真面目なこと。冬休み始まったばかりなのに。そりゃあこんなところで特別清掃なんかに付き合わされているけどさ。
Oh yeah, we do. Were you there?
これは別件。知り合いの大学生から流してもらった代筆のバイト。
You're doing work. You're writing their papers for them? Wow.
何年も前に提出されたレポートを丸写しにして卒論クリアしようって話。
You get paid for this?
写本ならぬシャレポートかよ。結構な量だな、おい。それどこの大学生？まさかミゾラ大じゃないでしょうね。
I like Kumari's attitude. She's like, I'm not gonna take this shit. What are you doing? Kumari couldn't seem to hide her discomfort as she started thumbing through some of the reports next to Aoko. Slightly brown tinged reports had to be at least 10 years old.
そのまさかよ。知り合いの大学生なんてミゾラ以外にいるかっていうの。
Is Mizora like the local university? I guess.
安心なさい。クマの兄貴たちからの仕事じゃないから。そもそもあんたの兄貴軍団、今年も残る気満々なんでしょ？
What? Okay, so Kumari has a brother. Oh, her short name is Kuma. Okay.
クマ言わないで軍団もやめろ。
Her voice was snappy. Not that Aoko could judge, but this girl's unfriendliness could rival even her own at times. Kumari's speech was dry enough as it was, but when she got riled up about something, she really let it all out. Apparently, she got it from her father. She was trying to work on it, but it was hard to fix an old habit she had since elementary school.
けどこれどうなのよ。丸写しにしても古すぎて通らないんじゃない？そこはそれ腐ってもたいというか。技術的に古い部分はピックアップしてあるからテキスト参考にして数字だけ変えておいてだってさ。何それ、本当にバカじゃないの。そこまで分かってるなら自分でやればいいのに。今日の朝から半日の稼ぎにしちゃ悪くないわよ。レポート1冊分で1万円。
Okay, that's like $100. I'm still using the standard 1 yen is a penny, even though that's probably very wrong and fluctuating. But this is also back in the 80s, so that probably would have been worth a lot of money, to be honest.
生徒会長が内職かよ。道理で築地に監督を任せたわけだ。
Now she has the authority and the money.
はい、他言は無用でお願いします。
Kumari relaxed a bit at Aoko's pleasant response and decided to sit down in the nearest chair. The room was silent save for the sound of scratching of Aoko's ballpoint pen. The sky was clear blue, and there were boys in the rear courtyard playing baseball in their jerseys. With the special winter cleaning finished, they seemed to have decided to start enjoying their free time. Oh, Hosuke's there! Probably.
寒いのによくもまあ。ってあれ2年の男どもだ。
Said boys were playing in teams of 5 since it appeared that they could not get enough people together to play a proper game. It was a boring game of mostly strikeouts and poor hits, but they sure seemed to be having fun. Their yelling and hollering mostly consists of bad words, surprised yells, and cackling laughter.
あれ？ホウスケとしずきが一緒なのはわかるけど、築地も一緒じゃん。青崎、あいつら仲いいの？
Oh, they are the best of friends. Comrades in arms.
なんでよそのクラスの集まりに顔出してんのよあいつ。まあ裏山の清掃が終わってるなら文句はないけど。
If he's free, let me command him to do some of these reports so I can get paid.
お、投げた。築地ピッチャーできるんだ。
He can do everything.
いやあいつは何でもできるからね。
He can kind of do it all.
本人サボり症でめったに動かないけど、本気出せば何だってこなすのよ。唯一足りない才能があるとしたら子供らしさってやつでしょうね。詳しいじゃない。青崎、築地と付き合ってるって本当？
Oh, snap.
あいつと付き合うぐらいならあんたと付き合うわ。
Is that the Yoru route?
顔のいい男は好きじゃないし、やっぱり男はシュワちゃんぐらいじゃないと。
like that Austrian?
シュワ誰？グレートの方のコナンの主役やった人。へえ、顎割れてないとダメなんだ。青崎って面食いかと思ってたけど、ごっつい系が趣味なの？別にそういうわけじゃないけど。教訓よ、教訓。なよっとしたやつとか、やけに口がうまいやつとか、気軽な男はほんと信用ならないっていうか。
They continued their conversation, one staring at the report pages and the other gazing out the schoolyard. They had met in high school and soon grew to be friends who enjoyed chatting together.
青崎、 冬休みはどうする？予定ある？
I'm about to kill some people. Wait, what?
一回ぐらいは遊びに行きたいんだけど、超忙しくて。年明けに時間作るからそれまで待って。あ、B 組の山瀬さんたち誘う？確か去年も冬休みに上京してたでしょ、彼女ら。ああ、ありゃ私たちと系統が違う生粋のお嬢様だからね。青崎の趣味知ったらドン引きされるからやめといた方がいい。
Yeah, that's right. She needs some macho men's. Not really our style.
お、撃たれた。おお、柵越えた。
Home
あれってホーム
run!
ランってやつだ。やるじゃん、しずき。築地から一本取るなんて運動神経抜群ね。そりゃ山育ちだし、それぐらい取り柄がないと。来年の身体測定、飛び丸とトップ争うんじゃない？山じゃ2時間歩きっぱなしとかザラだったそうだし、水泳部じゃなく陸上部に紹介すればよかった。詳しいのね。もしかして付き合ってるのあっちとか？いや、さすがにないか。
Oh, she's gonna react to that. Oh, okay, no, never mind. The constant sound of Aoko's ball pen moving across the paper suddenly stopped. Oh, she did. She stood up naturally from her seat, took a quick break to pour some fresh tea. Oh, there we go. And returned to her work without acknowledging what had just been said.
冬休みの予定だけど。
Anyways.
何かリクエストある？別に見たい映画が溜まってるだけ。こっちじゃ上映しない映画をはしごしたい。青崎は？私は新しい冬物と CD 買えればいいかな。あ、その前にまずは CD プレイヤーか。そろそろ3万円切るはずなのよ、あれ。
Damn, they used to be that expensive. Oh, the old days, high tech was pretty expensive. But it's okay, you're writing these reports. You got the money.
はあ、新しいもの好きよね、あんた。CD なんて高いだけで騒がれてるのは今だけだってば。
They're around for a pretty long time.
だいたい音楽なんてレンタルしてカセットテープに落とせば500円で済むじゃない。ベータデッキみたいにそのうち廃れるって。
Actually, I think they're still very popular in Japan.
そう？私 CD は定番になると思うけどな。過去になるのはカセットテープの方よ、きっと。それはない、絶対ない。かけてもいい。だって CD で録音できないんでしょ。そんなのにカセットテープが負けるはずない。クマは保守派だからな。政権交代は何にだってあるでしょうに。でもまあ、その賭け乗った。生徒会の歴史に書いておくからね。10年、いえ、5年後を楽しみにしていましょう。
Alco always wins.
5年後か。いいね。ちょうど大学の終わりだ。青崎、東京の大学に行くんでしょ？どこ？実はまだ決めてないのよ。上京したいのは山々なんだけど。ありゃ意外。あんたのことだから向こう3年分ぐらいスケジュール組んでると思ったのに。
The last time I tried to plan for something, it was only like one day ahead and it was already ruined. Damn it, Sojiro! Alco laughed dryly at the obvious jab. Alco knew what direction she had wanted her life to go in, but she didn't usually think too much about the details. Once she made a decision, she followed through with it. That was why she didn't actually write out a schedule.
クマ、終わったら駅前のラーメン屋付き合ってよ。体力使ったからなんかお腹減ってきた。
Are you gonna treat? You got that paper money, right?
そこは頭使ったから甘いもの食べたくなったにしといた方が女らしいと思うけどね。
You take that back. Ramen's amazing.
いいよ。うちでいいならサービスしとくけど。寄ってく？
Oh, wait, what? Does her parents run a ramen shop?
もちろん。持つべきものは女の友情。
The girls waited patiently for the winter vacation to start in the student council room. Their free time after school was spent through this kind of frivolous conversation. Alco spent her nights as a mage and her days as a normal high school student. The conversations she had with her friends were no different from any other girl her age. She enjoyed both aspects of her life equally, even if one of those involved fighting against the mortal enemies.
ところで青崎、さっきの掛け金はどうする？そうね。 私も鬼じゃないし、その時の貯金1割で手を打つわ。根こそぎ奪うのは勘弁してあげる。
Dang. She wasn't lying. But fundamentally, she was still as an imp at heart. Oh yeah. There's no way that's it, right? Okay, yeah.
なんかゾワッときたな、今。
Oh wait, was this during when they were doing this cleaning? I thought cleaning was over. Victim A whispered quietly after sneezing.
なんだよ。風邪でもひいたか、しずき。よし。じゃあこんなとこで野球やっててもしょうがねえし、街に繰り出すとしましょうか。
Oh, this was probably the last day of cleaning, or I don't know how many days they spent doing this. Maybe it was just one, but this is right after they clean and they just decide to have some fun. Gotcha. This was our 4th game of 5-man baseball. Wait, actually, after they played, after they cleaned, didn't they just kind of... Didn't Shizuki go home? Okay, this must be a different day, probably another day afterwards, because this must have been like a multiple day thing. They gained some spectators since starting an hour ago, and were playing special rules where infield grounders were called out when caught, and home runs were rewarded with leftover sweet red bean soup cans. Hoshi Kinomi had gotten bored once he realized it was still going to be a while until it was his turn to play.
お前ほんと猿だったんだな。先立つものがねえから野球やろうぜって言い出したのはてめえだろうが。
それはそれ、これはこれっしょ。だって A 組のやつらとか集まってきたしさ。俺あいつら嫌いだしさ。なんかノリが合わないっていうか。
I'm gonna be honest, I kind of forgot what was in what class. I know they're all like second years, but I forgot if it was A, B, or C. Or D. Is there D?
あっちもてめえとは合わねえとよ。
I got him.
いい機会じゃねえか。気に食わないんなら試合で片付けてやれよ。こっちも本気でやってやるから。
Time for Hosuke to unleash his true power, and then Tobimaru to even unleash his even truer power. Tobimaru calmly punched back down at Kinomi while practicing his pitching at the wall. He was throwing harder than usual. Maybe he was angry because of that home run he gave up earlier. He was in Class A and taking the role of captain for the other boys from Class A who showed up to play.
ちょっと待った。そりゃ誤解だぜ、殿下。俺たち、木の実結構好きよ。バカなところとか、平気で女連中の品評会開くところとか、合コン企画するところとか、真似できねえよ、ほんと。
All the other boys in Class A had nodded affirmatively.
ざけんな！てめえらいつも美味しいところだけ持っていきやがって。カラオケ会開いてよ、女の子と遊びたいよなんて甘えてきやがって。なんで気がついたら俺一人だけで会計してたの。一緒にテニス部覗きに行ったのにどうして俺だけ悪者なの。
100%.
利用されてるだけってそろそろ気がついていいの。
They're not even hiding.
やべ、まだ気づいてなかった。
ごめん、木の実のおかげで僕にも彼女ができました。彼女の口癖は
Oh no! Oh no!
てめえら本気でムカつく。青くせえ学生生活を送ってんじゃねえ。
Hinomi took his bat and swung it around as he chased after the boys in Class A. They seemed to be having fun running from him while sarcastically thanking him. One of Kinomi's best virtues was his ability to remain good-natured in the face of insults.
木の実は人気者だな。
ああ、バカなのが救いだな。あれで下手に利口だったら発電者になってるところだ。いや、その前に今度こそ青崎に締められるか。あいつ小ずるいチンピラには容赦ねえからな。
そうなのか。今度こそ。
Sojo fell deep into thought. In the way that sounded, Hinomi seemed to have some kind of history with Aoko Aozaki.
木の実は青崎に消そうしてたことがあるのか。
No.
消そう。あ、消そうか。
There's no way.
そんな風情があるかって。ちょいとな。青崎と木の実には条件反射じみた事件があったんだよ。ありゃ入学式のことだ。そうだよな、木の実。
Oh no. We're opening up old scars. Hinomi froze and glanced back at Tobimaru's provocation.
ああ、入学式な。すげえ体してる女子がいたからさ、つい声をかけたんだよな。
Oh no. Oh no!
彼女どのクラスって。いやでもまさか手が出るとは思わなかった。
Oh no!
俺的には1センチ前で寸止めしようとしたんだけど目測を誤った。俺の視覚情報より青崎の肉体のサイズがやや勝っていたということさね。
Hinome laughed loudly as he gazed up at the sky. That was all the explanation Sojiro needed to know what really happened that day at the entrance ceremony.
バカな。
Oh god, look at him. He's so angry.
なぜ命がある、木の実。
How are you still even alive after that?
だろう、俺の顎垂直に跳ね上がったんだぜ。平手とか拳とかそういうレベルじゃねえの。下からギャーンだぜ、ギャーン。周りにいたギャラリー曰くプールで縦に沈めたビート板が浮上するように青崎の靴がひらめいたらしい。
I love how they just had his model slowly float up because they didn't want to like draw another model of him being punched. He just slowly float up. We'll just blacken the outline, the model, and then there we go. Have some particle effects.
今だから言いますけど、俺後の記憶がすっぽりないのです。
Rubbing his jaw, Kinome returned to their side, tired of wasting his energy chasing after Class A boys.
そんなことより遊びに行こうぜ。殿下金持ってるだろう。おごってくれよ。
たく、まあ、映画なら考えないこともない。
Oh, he's treating.
ちょうど見たい映画あんだよ。映画の内容より見終わった後に文句言い合う方が楽しい部類の B 級でな。犠牲者が必要なんで、この際てめえでもいいぞ。
やだ、映画とかつまんねえよ。大の男がさ、2時間も同じところ座ってられねえって。
Yeah, no one would ever do that.
そんなんだったらゲーセンかコンビニの駐車場で駄菓子食ってる方が楽しいって。
お前、それ今の状況と何が違うんだ。
いいんだよ、外でだべってれば楽しいんだって。
Let's hang out at the movies.
あ、それともバンドでもやるか。今 UK ロックが熱い。バイト先の先輩にパンクロックなら誰でもできると聞いた。
ああ、そうかよ。ファッションにならねえようにな。
This was a rear courtyard during the winter vacation. Kinome and Tobimaru spent their relaxing reprieve chattering away about nothing much of substance.
じゃあナンパ。駅前でナンパしようぜ。殿下がいれば年上のお姉さんも釣れるし。
That defeats the purpose for you because they'll all go to him instead.
そうだ、お金がないならレディーたちにおごってもらえばいいんじゃない。
その年で紐か。てめえの人生設計明るすぎて頭痛がするぜ。
俺将来の展望だけはできてるからね。
I know what I want in life. A woman who will, you know, pay for everything I want.
なあ、しずき、お前からも言ってやれよ。ナンパに行こうって。女の子たちと楽しく騒ごうって。殿下は立ってるだけでいいし、しずきだって年上のお姉さんから見たら弟属性っていうの。うまくいけばこう、俺の時みたいに1時間後には一冬のアバンチュール。
Hinome's hands were flailing around in excitement, dancing around like so many waving tentacles. His mind was apparently still swimming in the memories of a golden time he once had. Anyways.
木の実、その時なんて言ったんだ。
はい？ああ、その時の決め台詞ね。お姉さん綺麗っすね。俺そこのビルのオーナーの息子なんすけど、ちょっと遊んでいきませんって。嘘だってバレたら逃げられたけどな。
そうじゃなくて入学式。
あ、そっちか。
Yeah, he's just curious about the deets on Aoko.
青崎の首から下の部分に向かって。うわ、お前胸でかくね。
There's even this arrow sign. He let out a loud guffaw. I don't know that word. As he recalled his story, his lack of intelligence and propriety was truly remarkable. Or rather mind-boggling. Nonetheless, Kinome was now in high spirits after recalling this exciting memory. Conversely, Sojiro was standing in complete sullen silence.
んどうしたしずきあ、やっぱりナンパとか興味ないか
当たり前だ。てめえみたいな色ボケと宗十郎を一緒にするな。
いや、興味はある。
Oh, he's interested.
可愛い女の子は可愛いと思うし、たまに薄着なところに出くわすと目のやり場に困るだろう。
Oh! 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 His words shot through the air like a bolt of lightning. It was as shocking as when a kid sees the head of a character at an amusement park fall off, revealing the person inside. Yeah!
そりゃそうだよな。すまん、見くびっていた。
One of us! One of us! One of us!
同志。
そうだ。例えばこう夏場の女子のうなじに光る汗とか、テニス部の女子の肩から脇にかけての清涼感とか、ぶっちゃけ水泳部の競泳水着の後ろ姿だよ。
Sojiro's eyes were filled with question marks. Apparently, he hadn't quite understood Kinomi's explanation.
いやだから、普段は同い年のガキにしか見えない女どもでも、たまに見せる無防備な仕草とかグッとくるよな。
うん。無防備なのはちょっと考えてほしい。
Yes. Whether it was because Sojiro was unsure if Kinomi was referring to someone in particular, or whether he was just concerned about how this related to himself, a troubled look washed over his face.
いいんだって。
He was
それで
thinking
いい
of
んだ
Aoko.
ってなぜなら高校生男子の6割は性欲でできていますからね。よし、そうと決まれば早速ナンパに行こうぜ。メンツが変われば超過も変わるってもんだ。
And with that, he happily put his arm around Sojiro's shoulders and headed off towards the train station.
ちょっと待て。あまりのことに絶句しちまったな。てめえは根本的に間違ってる。宗十郎、そもそもナンパって言葉が何なのか知ってるか？
I go up to them and lift them up, right? Huh? You define pickup. 1. To answer a telephone call. 2. To recite a Shakespearean work. 3. To transport someone from one place to another. 4. To pay someone's bill. 5. To try and persuade someone to having a romantic relationship.
2番か。
Oh, wait. What was number 2 again? To recite a Shakespearean work? Okay. Wrong. 9 times out of 10, when a bunch of high schoolers are talking about picking up girls, they mean definition number 5.
ほら見ろ。てめえとは興味の度合いが違うんだよ。女引っ掛けに行くなら一人で行け。なあ、あと岬の駅前はやめとけよ。うちの評判が悪くなるから。ナンパなら隣町でやりやがれ。
Tobimaro waved his hand at Kinomi as if he was shooing away a pest. Kinomi clicked his tongue in frustration and removed his arm from Sojiro's shoulders.
くそ面白くねえ。あいよ、おとなしく野球やってますよ。いつの間にか俺たちの番が回ってきたみたいだし。
He complained all the way to the pitcher's mound. Sojiro looked on regretfully.
おい、まさか本気でナンパに行きたかったのか？
I just want to read them Shakespearean words.
いや、ナンパはよくわからないけど、街には用があったんだ。ちょっと欲しいものがあって。そうだ、飛び丸。生徒会室にあるあの白いやつ、どこに行けば買えるか知ってるか？
Oh, finally! This chapter is called Whiteboard, but we never got a whiteboard. Sojiro spread his arms wide, making a bizarre gesture. 1 hour later, at the department store in front of the train station. Tobimaro was still confused after he figured out what Sojiro wanted to buy.
しかし、なんだってこんなものを。
Ah, back at the house. Man, this place looks really nice. I never actually noticed the room to like the sunroom. That's just luxury. The Kuonji estate was surprisingly comfortable for all 3 of its occupants this evening. Maybe it was because of the dinner Alice had prepared was so wonderful. She just learned how to make that sauce after Sojiro made that wonderful, very appetizing looking lunch.
7回アリスの実家じゃ1日に7回も食事をとるのか
7 meals a day? Dang.
一体どうやって
Sojiro asked Alice this question in the sunroom from a third sofa, brought up from the mansion's basement all by himself.
食事をとっているわけじゃないわ。ティータイムは
Ah,
1
okay.
日7回行うのが理想というだけ。
Okay, that makes sense.
寝起きのアーリー、朝食のブレックファースト、午前のイレブンジズ、午後のミディティーブレイク、午後の社交会アフタヌーン、夜会のハイティー、ディナー後のアフターディナー。
That's a lot of tea.
この中で食事に該当するのはハイティーだけよ。田舎での話だけれど。
Alice was enjoying her black tea by herself in the sunroom. She was drinking a royal blend, a fine blend of Darjeeling, Ceylon, and Assam orange Picot tea leaves. I don't know how many of those I butchered, but that'll be it. To accompany her tea, she had some strawberries dipped in sugar. She was in a world all on her own.
つまり一日中お茶を飲んでいるのか
そうね。
Oh, whoops. She couldn't understand why this was so hard for Sojiro to grasp. Alice picked up a strawberry with her slender fingers and carried it to her mouth as if she was going to give it a kiss. Sojiro was briefly transfixed by the graceful sight and shook his head to clear his thoughts. He had become slightly too sensitive to the fact that they were indeed opposite sex, perhaps due to his conversation earlier that day.
でもその口ぶりだとアリスは7回できてないんだ
3回が限度よ。相方が未熟だからやらなくちゃいけないことが増えてしまって。
Damn you, Aozaki!
相方
Sojiro turned to look to the side. There he saw.
何よ、1日3回も開いてれば上出来じゃない。うちの生徒会なんて黙ってお茶飲んでるだけよ。いちいち鍋からお湯沸かしてポット使ってたっぷり蒸らすなんて3時のおやつと夕食後だけで十分でしょ。アリスは手間をかけすぎ。私贅沢は好きだけど贅沢になれるのはごめんだから。
Even though Aoko was arguing, she still seemed to be in a good mood.
贅沢なのは青子たちの方よ。日本の水道水はこんなにも美味しいのに。どうしてあなたたちはこの黄金の価値に気づかないのかしら。
1日7回もお茶会開く国民性じゃないからでしょ。
I mean, that's a lot of tea, but tea is really
気を
good.
つけなさいね、宗十郎。美味しい紅茶を入れようとしてペットボトルの水なんて買ってきたらアリスに1時間近くお説教されるから知識も心構えもなってないって。
Dumb and barbaric. Ugh. It was true that better water should make a better cup of tea. That was why Aoko went out and bought bottles of natural spring water as soon as she moved into the Kuonji estate. Her proud show and tell to Alice had led to their first petty argument. The two were exhausted after quarreling about something one would think wasn't nearly as significant as maidcraft.
青崎さん、夕食を作る気力残ってる。
You can hear her panting because she's so tired after that argument.
パス。主義に反するけどてんやものを頼んでみよう。
And that had been her first time ordering from a soba noodle shop by the phone. Their slovenly attitude towards household chores had only accelerated since then.
いやー、あの後は悔しくってお茶について調べまくったもんだわ。アリスに質問したり競い合ってたらいつの間にか私も紅茶党の仲間入りよ。私、姉貴の影響で中学までコーヒー党だったのに。
そこには感謝しているわ。青子が連れ出してくれなかったらコープランドのアンティークカップに出会えなかったもの。
気がついたら骨董品回りしてたものね、去年の私たち。
Ah, they're friends. They're friends that want to kill each other sometimes. The drawing room and the sunroom. Though they were not even in the same room, The two of them were enjoying a fun and lively conversation nonetheless. Oh right, they're not. So just in the middle. Sojiro wondered why they didn't just sit together and chat in the drawing room since they got along so well. He didn't yet understand how the physical distance between them made these stories of old memories more meaningful.
アリスは外に出ない子だったんだ。
ええ、この子ったらほんと屋内派で、外に出るのは学校だけだったんだから。今日だってずっと洋館にいたんでしょ、アリス。
違うわ。外に用がないだけよ。今日はプロイの補充に忙しかっただけだし。
それだ。プロイの補充ってことは、遊園地の時みたいなのはここで生まれてるのか
Oh, what? Ever since that terrible incident, Sojiro had been sensitive whenever toys came up. He'd only been worried about escaping with his life at the time, but as time passed... What were those mysterious things? I feel like every time she makes his face, I have to like go like full screen to see this. Or not full screen, but remove the text. He became filled with curiosity.
何？知りたい？宗十郎。
教えてくれるなら知りたいけど、いや、よく考えると聞かない方がいいような。やっぱり知りたいような。
よし、そういうことなら話してあげましょう。ちょっとした触りだけなら怒らないわよね、アリス。
Ako quickly recrossed her legs in anticipation.
別に私とあなたの違いを話すぐらいならいいけど。
よし、決まった。って何よあんた、妙な顔して自分から言っておいて尻尾巻くの？
いや、そうではなく。
Sojiro diverted his eyes at Aoko's direct stare. Sojiro and Aoko currently only spent time together after dinner. Every once in a while, however, he would catch a glimpse of a somewhat innocent gesture of hers and wouldn't know how to respond.
いいんだ、続けてくれ。興味はある。
Hosuke's getting in his mind. He's gonna get him killed.
よし、じゃあコマ撮り呼ばないとね。
Wait, you have a Robin?
それでは特別授業、なぜなにプロイキッシャー、始まり始まり。
Aoko snapped her fingers. Apparently, she was trying to mimic turning on the switch of a TV. It was a veritable TV special. That's how a lecture about a certain brand of magecraft performed and directed by Alice Koonji first aired. Are we actually going to get a description, or it sounds like it'll be really long? I guess not. Unfortunately, the special production was cancelled only 30 minutes after it began. Apparently, the content had been a little too esoteric for Sojiro. I love how it's like, after the end, it's like, his brain malfunctioned. This is not gonna work because there's just too much information.
しずきくんの覚えの悪さは三千世界に響き渡るわね。
If only he could forget the events that happened that night. She almost said he was better off dead, but took a deep breath to avoid being hurtful.
かわいそうなアリス。さすがに今回は同情するわ。そいつにとっちゃ私の魔術もアリスの魔術もすごく便利でくくられちゃうものだなんて。他の魔術師が聞いたら失神者の屈辱よ。
Half an hour explanation later. That's pretty cool. Ako was exasperated. She also felt some measure of regret. She should have realized this would be the outcome.
そんなことはない。ちゃんと区別はつく。青崎は壊すだけで、アリスはいろんなものを作って、それで壊すんだ。アリスの方がやや生産的だ。
Aozaki just breaks stuff. Alice makes things to break stuff with. Therefore, Alice is a little bit more productive.
怖いわ、青子。私、どうしてか胸が苦しい。こういうことって本当にあるのね。
Oh my goodness. That's a new expression. It's the same, like, we've seen that bent over like posture before, but this is the first time she's like, oh, I'm in pain. Oh no, he's so dumb.
まるでお気に入りのカップを割ってしまった時、通りかかったキリンに、でもトロルよりマシですよと慰められた気分だわ。
Hey, but there is no troll in the kitchen. And the cup's not broken yet. Ako glared at Alice sitting across from her. Alice had alluded to a fairy tale about a less than intelligent giant who lived under a bridge.
今 今の宗十郎の指摘結構合ってると思うけど、私アリスのプロイが生活の役に立つとこ見たことないし、コマドリも双子も最後はドジって終わりじゃない。
Are the twins the pigs? I think they are.
それは結果論よ。役立とうという諸子は尊重するべきだわ。だいたいあれやそれが最後に全部台無しにするのは私の責任じゃないのだし。
Both girls were now just intent on calling the other out. It seemed neither wanted to admit their own shortcomings when it came to magecraft. But even when it came down to a silly argument about who was the worst at breaking things,
いや、でもアリスの使い魔は役に立ってるぞ。前に森で落ち葉を集めている豚を見かけた。あれはアリスの使い魔なのに、なんで青崎に言ってやらないんだ？まあ、いいことをしたのに黙っているのは美徳だって山城先生は言ってたけど。
bring Yamashiro into this. Ah, the tides have turned. How the turntables. Alice had simply sent the chattery twins out to the forest to break them in. As it were, to Sojiro, this had seemed like a good deed. Alko was visibly getting more fed up with this conversation since Sojiro had decided that Alice was the victor here.
掃除をしているから生産的とか、ずいぶん小さな判断ですこと。
大きな視点。例えば、お金儲けとか。
What? The two girls both tried to remain calm in the face of such a direct question. Wait, so it's like the bigger picture. Oh, they're saying which one of you could make more money with your magic? And they're both like, even a fool could think of a good idea sometimes. We could make money. We could make money with our magic. Holy crud.
盲点すぎたっていうか、基本魔術って損失しか生まないものだから。
Alice nodded affirmatively.
それで例えば、あなたから見て私の魔術はどんな金策ができると思う？
Demolition.
青崎なら、そうだな。マグロを捕まえるのはどうだろう。
Silence. Alko adjusted to the position of her crossed legs.
なんでマグロ？
Why? She asked this question seriously.
いや、朝一で大変高価だと聞いた。
That is true. Tunas are really expensive in Japan, but that's because they're usually extremely fresh.
でも捕まえるのは難しいって。あんな巨大なものが水の中では車より速く泳ぐと。
そりゃ地球が誇る大型肉食魚だからね。お寿司屋さんでも最強だし、平均時速60キロ、マックススピードは時速180キロに迫ると聞くわ。
部長曰く青崎は泳ぎがうまいって。泳いで捕まえられないか？
What about the magic?
もう魔術関係ないわね、それ。
Yeah.
仮にマダンで迎撃できたとしても保存できないわ。私、回転を早めるのが専門で止めるのはちょっと。アリスは？
魚は苦手。
I hate fish. Alice quietly added that some of them were oddly interesting to her, so she wouldn't feel comfortable harming them. Alice shrugged her shoulders, throwing that idea to the side.
ところで、喧嘩売ってる？しずきくん。
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
実は
Oh,
ちょっと引っかかってみた。
oh no. It must be the collar. The collar around his neck tightened for a good 5 seconds. It was as tight as a sleeper hold.
と、まあ、青崎には乱暴なことしか期待できないとして、アリスはどうなんだ？
Right after he said that, it chokes him even more, proving his point.
何も言わないということは、魔術でお金儲けは気に入らない？
そうね。好き嫌いはともかく、お金があるのはいいことだわ。業界の目をくぐり抜けることができるなら、青子には頑張ってほしい。
危ない目に遭うのは私だけか。
I have money. I don't need to do this.
アリスのプロにはなんかないの？土食べたら金に変換するようなカバとか。ほら、中世の貴族はお抱えの錬金術師で日夜金を作り出す研究をしてたって言うじゃない？
あれはただの金食い虫。
Oh snap.
まあ、 騙した貴族たちの貯蓄を食いつぶして新しい技術を生み出したから無意味ではなかったけど、このマイセンももともとは金を作ると豪語した錬金術師が苦し紛れに生んだ時期なわけだし。
Alice ran a finger along the edge of a teacup in her hand.
はあ、錬金術師ほど当てにならないやつはいないってわけか。今じゃプラハの錬金術師は証券魔術師、エジプトの方は兵器作ってるって話だしね。
ええ、ちょっと期待してしまったけど、もともと私たちは現実社会と折り合いが悪いのよ。神秘に特化しすぎているから。ロンドンの名門になると家訓と授業は別物と割り切っていて、金融専門の弟子を取っているわ。噂だけど、ある財閥の総帥は社員全員の血を吸って
Oh, wow.
情報を共有するネットワークを作っているとか。
This is a really long
何
chapter.
でも吸血鬼になった理由が精神的につながった決して内部闘争しない紹介を作りたいからだったとか。
Huh. That is actually pretty interesting. Huh. Not drinking them for like food sustenance, but for to use it as a communication device.
極まってるな。要はそこまで徹底しないと魔術でお金儲けは難しいってことか。あ、アリスのプロイで遊園地をやるのはどう？
That would be pretty cool, but also very dangerous because it would attract a lot of attention. Sojiro clapped his hands together in excitement.
それはいい。襲われるのはもうコリコリだけど、あの遊園地なら連日連夜大盛況だ。
私のプロイを見せ物にする気？
Oh snap.
でも大受けよ、絶対。ロボットって言い張ればみんな騙されるし。
却下よ青子。この話もう一度したら絶好だから。
本気で怒らせたか。だってさ、宗十郎、遊園地は諦めましょう。今度こそ友情を失っちゃうし。
Alco backed down after Alice's cold rejection of the idea. The small talk continued, but the girls grew more distant as they tried to avoid further conflict. Sojiro looked at the two with a perplexed expression.
ちょっといいかな。今猛烈に気になったんだが。
何？
いや、青崎もアリスも遊園地で本気で殺し合っただろう。それなのにまだ友達だったのか。
It was certainly a rude question to ask, but it was an obvious thing to ask. Alco and Alice looked at each other as they thought of the answer. They stared at each other for about 2 seconds. They're gonna say at the same time. Oh, never
ギ
mind.
リギリあり？
Sometimes you just try to kill each other, you know?
まあギリギリ。
Yeah, these things just happen, you know?
ありなんだ。
Though their friendship was surprisingly lighthearted, it also seemed to be forged from bonds harder than steel. It's still going, okay. We didn't really do anything with the whiteboard. I'm still questioning why that's the name of the title. Their long and extended tea party had just started to get going when Sojiro had to leave. He didn't really want to since he was enjoying himself, but he couldn't miss his part-time job.
2時間も話してたなんて珍しいわね。アリスもいつになく饒舌だったし。
成り行きよ。しずきくんがあれこれ青子に質問して、あなたがそれを私にも向けてきただけ。
It's all your fault. It's all your fault, Aoko.
ほんと、私たちが一日何をしているのかなんて聞いても仕方がないのに。
いや、それがそうでもない。大変役に立ちました。
はい？
Sojiro was carrying something down the hallway, ignoring Aoko's surprise. The whiteboard! The whiteboard! The whiteboard! It was a large whiteboard, much like the one in the student council room. On the shiny new whiteboard was written, Chores list, mansion cleaning, first floor, east wing only, breakfast, dinner, cleaning in the bath.
なんかいろいろと詮索してくると思ったら、そういう裏があったわけ？
Oh, they're both like, oh no, we have to do more work now, more chores, and assign them.
うん。歪みを正したかったら、まずどこがおかしいのか知らないといけないからね。
I love this image. He's like trying to be nice, and the other people are just like, "Oh God, what have we done?"
今夜の話じゃ、2人とも1日に1時間ぐらいは使える時間があるみたいだし、3人で1つの台所を使ってるんだから、ローテーションを組んだ方がいいだろう。
Sojiro was clearly proud of his attempt at making things better around here.
待って。私はあなたを住まわせているだけで協力なんてする気はないって言ったでしょ。
うん、言ったね。でも夕食を用意するなら私の分もお願いと言いたいのなら、相互扶助は当然の義務だと思うんだ。あと3人で食費を集めればその分美味しいものが食べられるよ。
Sojiro's words pierced Alice's heart. She knew she had asked him to make dinner for her on many occasions. It was a carefully planned attack, designed to make her repent for her sins, and she knew it.
でもホワイトボードを用意することはないんじゃない？当番なんて今まで口約束で決めてきたんだし。
She was like, no, don't make me do more work. Alice nodded her agreement. There was nothing less reliable in this world than a verbal promise. Even if they didn't say so, Sojiro could tell by the look on their faces that they intended to skip out on whatever task they were assigned to do.
ダメだ。正しい生活を送るには正しい役割を把握しないと。こういう風に書いておけば後になっても忘れないだろう。
Alko recoiled at this new development. She couldn't tell if Sojiro was just being nice or he had been saying that he wouldn't tolerate any slackers.
なんてこと。証明文を書かせて責任の所在を明らかにしようだなんて。
Oh my god, this episode has shown Alice in distress the most times we've ever seen her. She's like, oh no, I'm dying. Oh no, I have to do chores, responsibilities. No. Alice was absolutely terrified at the prospect of daily chores.
決まりだな。誰がどこを担当するかはまた明日話し合おう。今の2人が大変なのは分かってるから、しばらくの間はこっちが多めに受け持つよ。
I love how he decides. It's like, all right, we all agree, right? They're like, no, okay, all right, great. We're on board on this. And with that, Sojiro left. The two girls left behind could only sit and stare, stunned at the shiny new whiteboard.
こういうのを飼い犬に手を噛まれるというのかしら。知ってた。あいつがそういうやつって知ってたわ。
She's like, damn it, I knew it from the moment I met him. I knew it! No! But now it was too late. They had already been caught in the trap. Just this morning, Aoko had received a portion of the salad Sojiro prepared. She knew it would be wrong for her to veto the idea of them all helping each other out. The concept of dividing up specific chores made perfect sense to Aoko after all. Even so, she wanted to be able to tip the ratio of chores in her favor, at least sometimes.
青子、あなた何を考えているか丸分かりよ。
I'm not letting you get away with this.
そうでしょうとも。間違いなく同じことを考えてたからね、私たち。
Aoko sighed as she grabbed the whiteboard. She's gonna hang it in the kitchen so they could all see it. Alice was still staring at the whiteboard blankly. I'm really surprised they don't have an image for the kitchen because they clearly do a lot of stuff in the kitchen. Especially with the tea, the cooking, and now this. Alice was still staring at the whiteboard blankly.
せめて新しい項目が増えなければいいけど。
She would come to regret ever saying those words. Is now a part of the Whoa! You got a new one, and it skips several of them too. The Wonderful World of Ploys 1 and 2. And here we have the Carnegie case. Huh. I'm not sure whether to do this one or not. I was gonna do all the side stuff and then continue with the main story, but honestly, I think I'm gonna do the Carnegie case. If it ends up being really short, I guess I'll do the Wonderful World of Ploys. But honestly, I think if the Carnegie case ends up being like not that short, I might continue the main story until we fill the books up in between, because technically this will take place in the future. I'm assuming that's what this placement means. But yeah, the whiteboard was actually surprisingly fun. I think we covered a lot of the characters, especially like the ones our age. So like we covered the school, so we had Tobimaru and Hosuke. We had Kumari there as well. I think that's all the students we know. The only school person that didn't show up was the teacher, and well, I guess he just wasn't there. And we also have Aoko and Alice, and oh man, he got them. He got the Uno reverse. After that 2-hour conversation, he revealed his trap card. Oh, that was really funny. But yeah, it seems like in this episode we got a lot to see. We got to see a lot more of Alice and her emotions. She's not as emotionless as I thought she was gonna be. She's just a very stoic person, but like she definitely shows a lot of her dissatisfactions and a lot of the pain she has to go through, like finally having to do chores. But yeah, that was funny. But we'll continue with, well, as I said, we'll continue with the Carnegie case next time. And until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!